Please be seated. St. John's, what a joy it is to be with you this morning. I am the Reverend Callie Swanlund, coming to you, sending greetings from my parish of St. Paul's in Chestnut Hill, Philadelphia. And I had the opportunity to spend time with your beautiful leadership yesterday, and I'm looking forward to spending time in retreat together today. May I speak to you in the name of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sanctifier. Amen. Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Lord, Kumbaya. Oh Lord, Kumbaya. Right on. Beautiful singing. Over the years, this song has disappeared. Something happened to Kumbaya, and I did some research to make sure there was no scandal behind it, but it wasn't. It was simply that it got associated with this hippy-dippy, touchy-feely movement of the 60s and 70s, and associated with children camp songs, and people stopped singing it. Obviously, they didn't stop remembering it, the way that you all came alive with it. But I grew up listening to the folk music of Simon and Garfunkel and Peter, Paul, and Mary. So I loved this song. And I especially loved the verses that came after. Someone's crying, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone's singing, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone's sleeping, Lord, Kumbaya. Tradition holds that this may have originated from an African-American spiritual and be part of the Gullah culture of South Carolina, where Kumbaya would have been, come by here. Come by here, O God. Come by here to be with those who are weeping or sleeping, laughing or praying. And I loved, as a child, imagining that someone somewhere in the world was doing the same thing that I was doing at the very exact time. In fact, I would lay there and I think, I wonder if someone's doing this thing that I'm doing right now. And then I think, I wonder if someone is wondering if someone else is thinking of that at the same exact time. And it blew my young mind to think that I might be connected to people I had never met across the world in such a way. That there might be people that I would never encounter, but who were already connected to me. I now know that feeling to be awe, and its very close sibling, wonder. Awe is that feeling that makes us feel really tiny in the face of something so much bigger. But it's not that feeling of feeling small that's rooted in shame, that feeling that makes us feel not enough. This is a kind of small feeling that expands us rather than makes us want to hide in a hole. This kind of small causes us to marvel at a creation where places were formed before us, people we will never meet live beside us, and entire galaxies exist beyond us. When I think of awe like this, I think of a young, lone figure standing under the night sky and looking up at all they do not yet know. I watched as one of our young friends sat in the front row at the beginning of the service with a little camera documenting what was happening. And I wondered about the awe and wonder in that young child's mind. This kind of feeling of awe activates several things in us. It activates curiosity, it activates compassion, and it activates connection. Curiosity helps us tap into our inner child, or for those of you who are still young enough to just access that childlike quality. It helps us ask questions we might not know the answer to. As grown-ups in the room, you might feel like it's hard to ask questions that you don't yet know the answer to. But kids, that's silly, right? How are we supposed to know everything about the world already if we don't ask questions? The feelings of awe and wonder help us get curious. And they help us say, I want to know more. I want to learn more. Then we have compassion. Compassion is that feeling where we want to sit beside someone and learn from their experience. We want to come around and maybe put on their glasses to see the ways in which they experience the world. We want to be alongside one another. And lastly, connection. Connection is that magnetic pull to love and to let ourselves be loved. That's one of the most vulnerable things we can do, is letting ourselves be loved. It's vulnerable to show up on a Sunday morning in a community like this and be seen in our wholeness, in our brokenness, and all the states in between. I love that in preparation for today, some of you sent in haikus, and when Aaron told me about them this morning, I thought, what a beautiful illustration of connection and community. And we didn't arrange this ahead of time, but one of them that stood out to me is the haiku that says, "The child in me sees the child in you, so please come belly laugh with me." The child in me sees the child in you. That's what today is all about. It's been said that preachers have 3 sermons, 3 messages that are so core to their understanding of the gospel that they can't help but preach them again and again. And without a doubt, one of my 3 sermons is one of connection. And it is this: you are not alone. You are not alone. That's something I will preach each and every day until my final resting day. It's something that we forget. It's something that in this isolated and siloed world, we push to the side. We try to handle things on our own. We forget that we have community and connection. And community and connection are what our readings today are about. In James, in the letter to James, we hear, confess your wrongdoings to each other. Pray over one another, especially in sickness. Now, confessing our wrongdoings to one another, letting people pray over us in sickness, those are sometimes times where we want to hide, where we don't want to let other people in. We feel weak in those times. But this is a time we're called into connection, the times when we do feel vulnerable and weak. And James reminds us of that. And then I love how our gospel begins. It begins with a bunch of disciples running up to Jesus and saying, I can see them like tugging on his sleeve, saying, Jesus, we had to tell you, some people are out there and they are casting out demons and trying to do good in your name, and we told them that they should stop. Now, if I were driving down the road and I saw some people picking up litter, but those people picking up litter weren't the people who sponsored that mile of the road, would I stop them and say, this is not your road to pick up litter on? Jesus says, no, have I taught you poorly? Don't stop the people from doing good in my name. The more people going out and doing good in my name, the better. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Jesus wasn't interested in doing God's work alone. Jesus immediately came out of his time in the desert, his time for 40 days and 40 nights. He was all alone, and he came out, and what's the first thing he did? He found others to travel the journey with him. He brought others along the way because he knew that he needed community. The Son of God even needed community. And he knew that he couldn't spread the love of God on his own. He's not interested in a solo ministry. He was interested in building disciples. And that wasn't just those 12 or the people who followed in the 10, 15 years after that. That extends to now. That extends to all of you gathered here. Jesus has called each one of us into this ministry of spreading more love in this world, and I would say that this world needs a little bit more love. We are all called to pray over each other, to lessen the grip of evil upon one another, to invite each other deeper into awe. All over the world right now, there are people gathered in prayer just as we are. Think about that. Think about people in churches all over town, but also think about some of the places maybe your grandparents live, maybe a pen pal or someone across the world. A lot of people gathered in their pews, in their mosques, in their synagogues this morning to pray. And we are connected by that. One of my very favorite things about the Eucharist is that that table is our table, but it is also God's table. And there are tables all around the world. Some of them are round and some of them are square, and they might look different. But when we come to that table, when we get invited to receive the bread or the wine, we're connecting with the people who have come and received bread and wine before us, people who have already died, people who will come after us, people across time and space. So all over the world right now, there are people gathered in prayer just as we are. In the southeastern states of our country, there are people gathering in their streets, examining the storm damage and the community needs. All over the world, there are mothers who will never meet one another, holding their newborn babies. There are loved ones weeping at the bedside of those who have just died. We are so deeply connected one to another. Someone singing, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone singing, Lord, Kumbaya. Someone singing, Lord, Kumbaya. Oh,